So one of the most common questions that we get is, what is the best finish for a tabletop? We happen to have here a kitchen table, and it has been sanded down to remove the stain that was pre-existing. I believe it was a min-wax of some sorts. And we took a, what was it, a 120 to it?
80, 120.
80, 120.
And then 220.
Then a 220, and then a really, really fine sand of a 320 after. So we've got a really nice, fine, smooth surface here. And my favorite finishing product to use is actually a natural oil. We've got hemp oil here, so we're gonna go ahead and just put this oil on. The reason why I like to use the oil is because it's completely non-toxic, and it's gonna actually age up your wood and go nice and dark. So you can see here on the right, we have what's been oiled. So instead of having to stain it as well, it actually brings out the natural tone of the color of the wood. So if you wanna go ahead there and just literally pour the oil on, you can be very, very liberal with it. And don't worry, it's not gonna leave any marks. And all you're gonna do is just buff it in like so. Pretty easy. It really brings out the color of those knots too. The oil usually looks yellow or green depending on when it's harvested. And like I said, completely natural, doesn't have any solvents in it whatsoever. Perfectly food safe. So if you've got little ones, you don't have to worry about, you know, them getting anything contaminated or worrying about any chemicals whatsoever. And to do a tabletop like this, you're probably going to need just a couple minutes to pour it on and buff it on. But as it starts to dry, you can see here that it's really soaking into the wood. Let the wood tell you how much you need. So it's going to look kind of dry. And what you want to do is go ahead and throw some more oil on it right away. Be very liberal with it. Let the oil do the work for you. Now the maintenance on this would be maybe once every 6 months. If it starts to look a little bit, say, dry, and you want to give it another go, you can just pull out the oil and throw it on. Whereas if you're using a varnish or something like that, you would have to sand it down and go ahead with that oil after. This is so easy for maintenance. Of course you can see something.
Okay, I'll show you how I do it. Can I do this little area myself?
Absolutely.
Okay, this
So
is
we've
what I
got
do.
Lori here, who's the president of Homestead House, who loves hemp oil.
So we've got some wood here that is so thirsty. I mean, it's 22 years old, this wood, since this table was made. And I do buffing, but what I do first is I just slather it on.
Look at how fast that is.
With my hands.
It's like getting a manicure.
Yeah, actually it's quite moisturizing. So now the wood, you'll see how it soaks up in certain areas. It's ready for another coat right now in some areas. So I'll kind of go like that. It's quite thin, but we'll come back and look at this area here, and it's going to dull down, which means it's soaking in. Now what I've done in the past is I've taken some butcher block counters. I've literally slathered it on, left it for 24 hours, then I come by, give it another coat and a buff at that point in time. See right here? It's soaking in all that area. And right here.
A little hard to tell in the video, but you can see that it looks quite dry and the shininess disappears. That's when it's soaking in and it's asking for more. The wood is thirsty.
And the one good thing is, if you consider wood as a sponge, what this oil is going to do is saturate that sponge so that later on when you're coming along with any kind of food spills or coffee or wine spills, it has nowhere to go. It just pools on top because the fibers have soaked up as much as it can. That's the beauty of finishing oils. Anyway, that's my messy way of doing it.
And then you can take
messy and effective.
You can take any spare rag and just wipe away the excess. The good thing is, you with the excess, you can literally just leave it for about 24 hours. If you remove it after 24 hours, you're great. You just want to make sure you take a dry cloth, lint-free at that time, and remove any excess that you might have.
This was fantastic what Will is doing. He's giving it a bit of a rub and thereby creating friction, which is really important with finishing oils because it's that little bit of heat which starts it to cure even faster.
Mm-hmm. The more attention you give it now, the extra coats, the extra time, it's just going to last so much longer. But you can see it's literally minutes to get a good solid coat on, and then just come back to it and see how it is, and when it's thirsty, apply some more. You can't really put too much on, it just won't soak it in, and after 24 hours, after you put a couple coats on, after that 24 hours, just come and buff off any excess that may be remaining.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a pure drying oil, no solvents in it, completely food safe, made of pure pressed hemp seed. High five! And there we go. And that is how you refinish a beautiful table, completely non-toxic and easy.